So hello everyone, in this audio class we will discuss the 20 most important questions from the chapter Population, Distribution, Density, Growth and Composition from the book India, People and Economy chapter 1. So let's get started with the question number 1. These questions will be very much important for your upcoming KVS NVS PGT Geography interview. So let's get started with the question number 1. How would you explain the uneven distribution of population in India during an interview demonstration? So population distribution in India is highly uneven due to combination of physical factors like relief, climate, water availability and human factors like industrialization, historical and settlements. For example, fertile alluvial plains and abundant water in the northern plains like Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal support dense populations, whereas the rugged terrain of Sikkim results in a sparse population. Next question, how do you define population density and what are the top densely populated states in India? So, population density is expressed as the number of persons per unit area, that is density is equal to population divided by area. According to census data, the top densely populated states are Bihar, West Bengal, Kerala, Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. For example, Bihar exhibits high population density due to its flat, fertile agricultural plains and high rural settlement intensity. Next question, what are the distinction between natural growth and induced growth of population? So natural growth is analyzed through the net difference between the crude birth rate and crude death rates. Induced growth accounts for net spatial movement calculated through inward or immigration and outward or emigration. These migration patterns. For example, natural growth is seen when birds exit death in a region, while induced growth occurs in urban hubs like Mumbai due to rural to urban job migration. Next question, why is the period from 101 to 121 referred to as stagnant phase? So, between 1901 and 1921, birth rates were high, but death rates were equally high due to widespread epidemics, lack of basic medical facilities, food shortages and poor sanitation, leading to minimal net growth. For example, the decade 1911 to 1921 recorded a negative population growth rate due to global influenza pandemic and severe famines. Next question, what factors characterized phase 2 from 1921 to 1951 as a period of steady growth in India? So improvements in national sanitation, transport networks and public health delivery brought down mortality levels while crude birth rates remained consistently high. For example, widespread control of major epidemics like diseases like cholera and smallpox significantly reduced mortality across rural India during these decades. Next question, why is period from 1951 to 1981 designated as the phase of population explosion? So this is the phase 3. So centralized developmental activities under 5-year plans caused a steep fall in mortality. Just wait for a while. Okay, centralized developmental activities under 5-year plans caused a steep fall in mortality rates while fertility rates stayed high, creating a wide gap between birth and death rates. International migration from neighboring countries also contributed. For example, better medical access brought average birth rate down to 28.7 per thousand by 1981, while death rates fell much faster and leading to a rapid overall population growth. Next question, what trend defines phase 4 or from 1981 to till present in India's demographic history? So phase 4 is characterized by a gradual downward trend in crude birth rates, driven by rising female literacy, higher age of marriage, and improved quality of life. For example, southern states like Kerala experienced a notable drop in fertility rates due to high female literacy and awareness of family planning. Next question, how is the working population categorized based on the duration of employment in a year? So, workers are classified into main workers who work for at least 183 days or 6 months in a year, and marginal workers who work for fewer than 183 days in a year. Non-workers constitute the rest of the population. For example, a full-time school teacher is categorized a main worker, whereas a seasonal agricultural laborer working only during harvesting is a marginal worker. Next question, according to census data, what is the proportional distribution of India's workforce across major economic sectors? So, primary sector continues to employ the largest absolute number of workers, followed by the tertiary sector, while the secondary manufacturing sector employs a smaller percentage. For example, farming activities in rural states like Bihar employ a majority of workforce in primary production. Next question, what are the primary reasons for low female work participation rates in India? So, low participation is driven by patriarchal social norms and wage disparities, safety concerns, lower average literacy rates, and the disproportionate burden of domestic household responsibilities. For example, unpaid household labor and caregiving in rural joint families are not captured in conventional economic work metrics. Next question, what are the core objectives of the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao campaign launched in 2015? So, the scheme addresses gender bias, prevents sex selective elimination, improves the child sex ratio, and ensures the education and active participation of girl children in society. For example, providing financial incentives and awareness drives in districts with low child sex ratios to encourage parents to enroll girls in schools. Next question, how does the National Youth Policy define youth and what is its main vision? So, National Youth Policy 2014 defines youth as the persons in the age group of 15 to 29 years. Its vision is to empower young people to achieve their potential and enable India's overall socio-economic development. For example, establishing youth skill centers to train rural youth aged 18 to 25 in vocational trades for formal jobs. Next question, how does the National Policy for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship 2015 complement youth development? So, formulated in 2015, it provides an umbrella framework. Just wait for a while, okay? Okay, so just wait for it. Okay, so the formulated in 2015, it provides an umbrella framework for skilling activities across India, aligning training to common standards and linking skills with industry demand. For example, setting up Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana training centers to teach vocational skills aligned with market requirements. Next question, how does physical geography influence rural population density differences between mountain and plain states? So, flat terrains, fertile soils and perennial water systems facilitate high density agriculture in plains, whereas rugged topography and extreme climates restrict population capacity in mountain regions. For example, high population density in the Ganga plain of Uttar Pradesh compared to low population density in mountain states like Sikkim. Next question, what is the linguistic composition profile of India regarding its largest language group? So, speakers of Indo-Aryan languages. with Hindi speakers forming the largest single proportion, make up the majority of the linguistic composition in the country. For example, Hindi is spoken across the north central states like Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Next question, how do religious communities distribute spatially across the Indian states? So while Hindus are distributed as the major religious groups in most states, other communities show notable regional concentrations. For example, major religious groups like Hindus form a large proportion across inland states, while other groups have concentrated population in specific regions like Sikhs in Punjab. Next question, why did high illiteracy rates contribute directly to rapid population growth during 1951 to 1981? So illiteracy limited awareness regarding reproductive health, family planning options and socio-economic opportunities, maintaining high traditional fertility expectations. For example, rural areas with low literacy during 1960s maintained high birth rates because family planning initiatives were less understood or accessible. Next question, what is the relationship between poverty and high fertility rates in regional demographic management? So, impoverished households often have higher fertility rates due to limited healthcare access, higher infant mortality fears, and a reliance on additional family members for economic support. For example, poor rural households relying on subsistence agriculture may view additional children as extra hands for the farm work. Next question, how does urban expansion alter occupational patterns for from primary to non-primary sectors? So, economic growth and urban development shifts economic activity from agriculture toward industrial manufacturing and service occupations. For example, peri-urban areas near expanding cities like Bengaluru shift from agricultural farming to logistics, transport and service occupations. Next question, how do age structure variations influence the demographic dividend? So, just wait for a minute. How do age structure variations influence the demographic dividend in India? So, this is the last question for today. A higher proportion of population in the working age bracket, that is 15 to 59 years, creates a potential demographic dividend provided there are sufficient health, education and job opportunities. For example, states investing in higher education and technical vocational institutes convert a large youth cohort into a skilled workforce for tech and manufacturing industries. So thanks for listening. Keep listening for further audio classes. Thank you.